This is Towers News with your hosts, John Jenkins and Patricia Newton.
Good morning, campers. I'm John Jenkins.
And I'm Patricia Newton.
And welcome to the Towers Daily News. We are going to use this newscast this week to give you the latest and the greatest news going around the Pine Cove Towers.
And now on to today's segment of the Bible story. So listen up, sit back, and enjoy the show.
From rags to riches. Joseph sat in that prison for another 2 years. Somehow, his good buddy the cupbearer forgot all about him and the promise he made to mention his name to Pharaoh. One day, Pharaoh had a dream, so he called for all of the magicians and all of the wisest men in Egypt to come and interpret his dream for him, but no one could interpret it. When the cupbearer heard about this, he remembered Joseph. He ran to Pharaoh and told him about Joseph. The Egyptians called Joseph out of the prison and took him straight to see Pharaoh. Pharaoh was seated on his throne, looking very powerful and very scary. You see, the Egyptians, and even Pharaoh himself, thought that he was a god. Pharaoh said to Joseph, "I hear you are a man who can interpret dreams." Joseph's mind was racing, and he thought to himself, God is the one who interprets the dreams for me, and Pharaoh thinks he is a god. If I tell him that God interprets my dreams, he will surely sentence me to death. So Joseph was faced with a decision. Should he tell Pharaoh about the God of the universe that he serves? Or should he let his fear of what he can do hold him back? But Joseph had been through many tough times the past few years, and he knew that God would surely be with him. He declared, "It is not I, but God who will give you an answer. So tell me about your dream." So Pharaoh went on to tell Joseph about his dreams. One had to do with the great Nile River, cows that are fat and cows that are thin. The thin cows ate the fat cows, but they were still thin cows. Then I had a dream where some thin corn ate a bunch of large corn, and the thin corn still looked thin. Then Joseph said, "Each of the dreams is telling you the same exact thing. God is letting you know what He's about to do. The 7 good cows and the 7 good ears of corn represent 7 good years in the land of Egypt. The 7 thin and ugly cows and the 7 ears of bad corn represent 7 years of famine in the land of Egypt. Pharaoh, you are going to have 7 years of plenty here in Egypt. But immediately after those 7 years, Egypt will have a famine that will last for 7 more. You need to find the wisest man in all of Egypt and have him store some food so that the people will not die when the famine comes. Pharaoh was pleased with the interpretation that Joseph had given him. He was so pleased that he made Joseph his highest ranked official. Pharaoh even gave Joseph a wife. During the next 7 years, the land produced crops abundantly. And Joseph was very faithful to make sure he stored enough grain for the years to come. During this time, Joseph and his wife had 2 sons. The first was named Manasseh. He named his second son Ephraim. And just as Joseph had predicted, the famine came, and people began to come to Pharaoh to ask for help. Pharaoh sent them to Joseph, for Joseph had countless storehouses of grain to sell to all of Egypt. And wouldn't you know it, the famine spread all the way back to Joseph's home. And pretty soon, Joseph's very own brothers would have to come ask him for food.
This has been Towers News.